Welcome to Stout Conversations, where every week we sit down with creative thinkers in the craft beer industry and beyond. Your hosts, Ken and April, live and work in a 24-foot RV, traveling the country in search of great stories around a great beer. Join them this week as they talk with Dustin Hall, photographer and creator of the Brewtography Project, which is a photographic essay of the brewing industry, highlighting the art of brewing and the passion and personality that surrounds the innovative people in this craft.
So man, Brewtography Project. That's a great name, obviously,
yes.
for brewing photography. But then how did you get going on, like, deciding to put this book together? I mean, you got, I think it's called Discovering Colorado Breweries,
Yes,
right?
correct,
Okay.
correct. So I guess it was about three years into the project, just, running around the breweries, taking photos, releasing the material, giving breweries access to that. And then people would periodically joke, oh, you should put out a book. No one's, doing, what you're doing in Colorado, like documenting more the culture of the industry versus just the beer itself. I mean, there's a lot of people that have been, ever since Instagram became Instagram, people have been taking photos of beer. And even before that.
So what was the project initially? Was it really a project yet?
It wasn't, no. So I'm a computer
or?
engineer by trade. And I've been doing that for about 20 years. And I've been a photographer on and off for roughly 14, 15 years. Subject has kind of changed as my interests have changed. I started off doing a lot of skateboard stuff. It just kind of evolved from there. My wife and I moved here to Colorado about a little over 6 years ago. And we just wanted to see what this brewery thing was all about. Neither one of us were big beer people.
Really?
Nope.
Okay.
I grew up in an Italian family, so it was wine all my life. We weren't really drinkers per se of any alcohol, but we wanted to see what this was about. So kind of started bouncing around and checking out the breweries, which there were probably half of 6 years ago.
Right. There's a few. 200 or 300.
Right.
Wow.
And then, what fascinated me was, like, there were a lot of breweries, but they're all very different, like restaurants, but it's just something, I guess, in my mind, I'm like, a brewery is going to be a brewery is going to be a brewery, they're all going to be the same.
Yeah, you come from that bar mentality.
Yeah.
It's just a place to go drink.
Yeah, exactly. You don't really put much thought into it. But it really kind of fell in love with the environment. It was all that wood and kind of what they were doing with it, and then all that shiny metal in the back. I love, like, all that industrial that look.
Modern industrial.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Which makes for killer photos, right?
Yeah.
So photography was already a passion?
Yes, absolutely. So it was just an outlet for me. It was just something different. Do a lot of computer programming and things like that. I just wanted a fun artistic outlet. And that was it. So Hogshead was the first brewery that my wife and I both fell in love with. We have really very different tastes. So I would love a brewery or she would love a brewery. And I mean, we would find like little happy mediums in between, but like Hogshead was the first brewery that we were both like, oh my God, we love this.
Well, and that's funny because Hogshead is like a really unique brewery in Denver.
It is,
even now.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
It's that traditional, for people that don't know, is that like traditional English. It's
Cask
got
beer.
that English bar look to it inside with really beautiful dark woods and then the cask beer all the time.
And
which
they
is
were
not easy to find around Colorado even now.
And they still might be. I don't know. I haven't heard in a while, but they were the only brewery in Colorado that had two separate fridges. They had one fridge set up for CO2 and a separate warmer fridge for cask ale. Right. So they served it traditionally at the temperature that it should be served at. So, I got to know the bar staff there, the owners, and I'm like, hey, can I bring in a camera and just take some photos? And they're like, yeah, sure, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So kind of how most brewers are.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was kind of how it started. The homebrew thing was for a couple of reasons. I grew up in a restaurant. My family's owned a restaurant in Las Vegas for a little over 50 years. So I grew up in the kitchen. So for me, the homebrewing thing was like another type of cooking. So that in and of itself fascinated me. Another thing that really triggered it was I'm a malt person. I love stouts. I will drink a stout when it's 120 degrees out.
Oh, yeah.
I will also drink hot coffee in the middle of the summer. It's just how I am. So I wanted to homebrew to brew more stouts because I found it was very difficult to find.
Yeah.
I have since found breweries, and there's a lot of breweries that do brew stouts in the summer, but like I wasn't very knowledgeable back there, so I didn't know who they were.
Right.
So that was the other thing. And then the third reason was I wanted to understand the process because I started really changing my focus from environmental photography versus to culture photography, which involved shooting brew days, shooting packaging days, things like that. So I wanted to homebrew to learn what it meant to brew beer, what was involved. Therefore, I'm not constantly, okay, what are you going to do now? What are you going to do now? What are you going to do now? Which would get annoying. And then it also enables me
where to go to get the
exactly
shot
set
want.
up. I could set up before it even happens. Yeah, because I know what needs to happen. So those were kind of the reasons. I do a lot of light photography, flash photography. So it's getting the lights set up, taking advantage, like colder days like this, taking advantage of that steam, but knowing where to put the light to capture that steam. I do a lot of high contrast work, so it's a lot of just hitting on their faces just right and knocking out the background because breweries are very industrial and they're very noisy. So I want the focus to be on that person. So it's knowing where to put it, and I mean it gets very interesting sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
where those lights go. There's a lot of lulls in brewing. You're really busy, then you're not doing anything for a while. Then you're really busy,
That's why you drink.
Right,
That's why you drink while you brew.
Exactly. But it also it allows me to kind of change focus. Maybe packaging is also going on. So I know there's this lull, so I can jump to the packaging aspect and start taking photos there and make sure I'm back before they start adding hops or before they grain out or whatever the next step happens to be. So it's not just setup. It's like using that blank time to do something else.
So how many years did you shoot before the book finally came together?
So it was about 3 years.
About 3 years.
Well,
to bring the
I
book
should
together?
say it was about 3 years before we did the Kickstarter for the book, and then it was another about 2 years before the book actually came out.
So that was a lot, and I'm sure a lot of that time was, you started with like say Hogshead, and then moved on to other brewers that you found interesting. But then, was it like just a building of relationships throughout all these breweries?
It was. Well, initially was hitting up this because I had no website, I had no social media presence, I had nothing to say who I was,
and you didn't really have like a photography background in the industry to say, here's my stuff.
Exactly. So it was a lot of visiting small breweries. Hey, I'm going to come in. Would you be interested in having me come in? I'll take photos of brew day. I'll get some nice wide field shots of your tap room, things like that. I'll give you guys access to all the photos. You can use it to help promote your brand, and no one ever said no to that.
Of course,
it's like
exactly.
It's
not like brewers have a big marketing budget.
Exactly.
Usually social media.
So that's how it started. Like just focusing on those small breweries to help build up. And it wasn't really, the initial intent was never really to build up a brand with this. It never was to do a book. It was something I loved, and it eventually became something I really believed in, seeing how hard these men and women work. It's like you tell someone that you're in the brewing industry at any level, and people are like, oh my God, that's so rad. They think it's this rock star lifestyle. Like, you guys are out partying all the time, getting wasted. It's like, people don't understand the work that really goes into being in this industry.
Day. Just brewing is a long
Yeah,
day.
exactly.
You're not punching the clock for 8 hours.
And the money's not that great.
Yeah, exactly. The money's not going to make you rich.
No.
But if you're loving it,
And that's why I do it too. Is like I just always see the passion. Like you go to any brewery and you talk to people about what they're doing, why they're doing it, and they will talk your head off.
Oh yes.
And that to me shows passion. When someone can just sit there and ramble, it's they're not like, oh, I'm just doing this and then like walking away.
Yeah.
You ask me about my computer job, I'm like, it's a computer job.
Yeah,
you ask me about the photography, I'll talk all day long. But that defines passion to me, and that's what I'm trying to capture.
So the next step is Dustin Hall moving into an RV on the road to shoot breweries all over the country.
Well, you know, it's
and control
it is
the computer.
Not even take ours.
No, he's gonna shoot them all. We're gonna
Right.
just do it. We're gonna do the conversations.
right. No, it's funny because that's what I was talking to you a little bit earlier ago.
Yeah.
Was my wife and I had actually started like kind of looking at that
Really?
concept. Yeah. So in about 6 months' time, I'll be 100% remote.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of, she was like
may
looking
not
up
be off
all
base.
these places that we could park like during the week, and I can work remote from there, and then shoot the breweries on the weekend, and then bounce around. And so
it's doable.
yeah. So it's
We're here to
definitely
say it's
it's
doable.
definitely a thought for sure.
So that said, I mean, you came out with the book Discovering
Right.
Colorado Breweries. I mean,
Yeah.
are there plans now to do more of that, like more
There-
in Colorado,
there are, yeah, definitely.
more across the country or across the world?
So that there is plans to do that. What that's going to look like, we're not 100% sure yet.
Depends on if you go fully mobile, I guess.
Right. So that's kind of the thought process, is if we can do the mobile thing, it would be maybe more regional. Like we would pick 10 states like in the Northwest, and then pick 7-8 breweries from each state, and then kind of do a regional based book.
It's
Right.
the little hole in the wall places.
Exactly.
Like here, you come through Denver, and Little Machine is not something that's really known outside of Denver.
Right.
And with so many breweries in Denver, it's not even one of the most known ones.
Right.
You know,
Right.
with so
But they're
many
awesome.
that yeah, fantastic beer.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm drinking their just like a nice brown ale they have
Yep.
here. It's
Yeah.
really
yeah,
good.
they're-
And
they-
I think
they
you said
put
you
out
had
some
the
good stuff.
sweet potato stout.
Yeah. Yeah.
That you don't get everywhere.
No,
Trust
you don't.
me.
And it's good. It's a really good one.
So there are thoughts of maybe
Yeah.
continuing on with this
Yeah,
project and
absolutely.
making it more of
Yeah.
a bigger part of your life. even.
Yeah, and it's slowly turning into that. So I've also been photographing distilleries lately. So kind of dabbling into that a little bit, because that's
Because that's kind of a
extremely
natural
rad industry. And,
progression, too.
yeah, it's a
'Cause
definitely.
There's a lot of craft going on.
Yeah,
there.
absolutely. I've photographed cideries. I haven't done any wineries, but I've talked to some in Palisade, and maybe in the spring probably go over
Palisade's
there.
great.
Yeah, go
We
over
actually spent a weekend in Palisade staying there and did the little trifecta,
Yeah.
hitting
Oh,
a
yeah.
winery, the distillery, and the brewery all
Oh,
in one
yeah.
day. 'Cause
Oh,
we
yeah.
had Palisades Brewing,
Yep.
Peach
Peach
Street
Street,
Distilling, and then we were at, I forget the name of the vineyard off the top of my head. Grand River?
Okay.
Grand River,
okay.
I think, right off of the interstate.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
It's a really beautiful area, too.
Yeah. Oh, it's awesome.
Very picturesque,
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, it
Oh,
is
yeah.
super rad. So we'll see. I'm not really sure. I mean, like, this book wasn't even a thought really until it became one. I mean,
Right,
it
when you
just
first
wasn't
started
yeah,
shooting all the breweries, it was
It
more
was.
because it was fun. And
It was fun. Yeah.
You saw just something that caught your eye that
Yeah.
as a passion for it.
Right. It's a lot of.
And
I'm given untethered access everywhere I go. I mean, when
A
I
lot
went.
of brewers are really good at that, especially when they come to trust you.
Oh yeah, I have a lot of fun with it. I mean, I love this industry, and I feel that people see that. You know, you get one example is like I went up to New Belgium, big brewery,
Yeah,
huge brewery, right? I spent 12 hours there photographing, and they literally gave me like a fob. They're like, "Have fun." Popular breweries, larger breweries like that, they get a lot of media as it is. So they'll get people that are writing articles, they'll send a photographer in, the photographer will come in and say, I need someone holding hops in their hand, I need someone dumping grain, I need, these 5 shots, and then they're out. I mean, after a while, I bet that gets a little old for the people that work there, like,
They're probably
But-
like, here's our stock shots.
Right.
Oh, yeah, it's like,
But,
you've got a stock
after...
list or you've got a stock sample of photos.
Exactly. But
But that's
after
not what you do.
8 plus hours out of space, like, this guy kind of serious, because, then they warm up to you, then they start showing you, like, places that they probably shouldn't. Like, I did photos at Great Divide, the downtown location, probably 4 years ago, and kind of, once again, got let loose. After about 4 or 5 hours, people were like, oh, you're still here? And, like, started warming up to me. Like, oh, we got to show you this room and da-da-da. And it got some fun little, like, kind of behind-the-scenes, like, shots and posted them all up. And I got an email the day after from their marketing person, like, how did you get there? How'd you find out about that? You know, and I was like, well, if you want to take it, they're like, no, it's a great photo. We just didn't even think to show you that.
Yeah,
I'm
my
like,
marketing person, I didn't even know that was there.
right. But so things like that have happened. It's just been rad.
Oh, that's really cool,
Yeah.
and I think you find that a lot in the brewing industry, as long as, and on the craft level anyway, as long as you're like you are, you know, you're going and treating people with respect, and you're it's a
Absolutely.
passion of yours.
Absolutely.
You become part of the family there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
In that short period of time, and you make those connections.
Which happens at a
Absolutely.
lot of brewers. It's surprising. And,
Yeah.
and if you see your photos, and you have a bunch up on brewtographyproject.com.
Yes. Correct.
Just got to throw in a shameless plug. Dustin's kind enough to talk, so.
To me, it's more about the culture. It's more about the
Yeah.
people. So you're going to see more people in my photos than beer itself.
Right.
You know, it's just, I love this industry. I love the people behind it. I love everything they're doing. And I want to showcase that. And that's, so I'm there taking photos of the people, you know,
Absolutely.
and it always makes me happy to like see, like I'll post some photos online for a shoot, and then I'll see people change them to their profile photos. It makes me smile, because it's like,
yeah.
I'm really glad that they genuinely like them. And they're not just saying, oh, those are great, you know, when they're just trying to be nice. But, you know, when they're doing things like that, that tells me, oh, they generally appreciate that. And that's awesome.
So do you have a copy of the book with you?
I do. I brought a copy.
Yay!
There we go.
Surprise. So this is a big old book, man.
Yeah.
That is a good size. It's, obviously, we didn't really talk about the book specifically that much before. Coffee table book. What is this, about 11 by 13?
It is exactly 11 by 13 by 1.
By 1 inch, yeah.
I'm
A couple
sure one of
hundred
those-
pages.
245.
And see, I don't know how much you can see on camera there, but
There's 74 Colorado breweries in it.
74. Wow.
Yeah. So you can find it off my website. It's available online, and there are about 12 breweries in Colorado that have copies, and that you can find also on my website. It lists those. If you're not in Colorado, you can buy it online. But it's a very expensive book to ship, so I try to get people to go to the breweries to buy them.
So come to Colorado and go to
Yes,
the breweries.
yes. But if not, you can buy it online.
And you can check out, if you want to get kind of a taste of it, go to brewtographyproject.com, and
Yes.
there's a gallery there.
Yeah, yeah.
And you can check out some samples of what you're going to expect in this book. But, I mean, you've been, really built something really cool over the last few years. And it sounds like
It's been fun.
you might be doing something even more spectacular
Yeah,
pretty soon if you
yeah.
decide to go mobile and
Yeah,
stuff, or even just
absolutely.
continuing the project.
Yeah.
But,
I've been definitely traveling a lot more and like incorporating brewery shoots into that. So
we call this a stout conversation because our website is Living a Stout Life,
okay,
which isn't just
which
about
I love
beer.
stouts, so it's perfect.
So it's about the beer, but it's not all about the
right,
beer.
right.
But it's kind of a double meaning, like living a stout life, doing something with purpose and intent that you enjoy and are
Mhm.
passionate about. And for you, what is your version of living a stout life? What's a stout life to Dustin Hall?
Oh wow. I like I was just saying, my wife and I have started kind of using this as an excuse to travel. You know, going to places that have amazing breweries, but also have amazing things we want to see. And that's I think the next step is just doing a lot more of that, like getting out there. So it's just going around and just seeing all these great breweries that, you know, yeah, we might get access to the beer, but for me, it's a lot about the culture. Again, it's
Meeting
going
more
into the place and seeing what they're about, seeing what they're doing, not just buying their beer on a shelf and drinking it at home. So, yeah, I guess that would be it.
There you go.
Well, cheers.
Cheers, man.
Yeah.
There are new episodes with new conversations every Sunday night. Be sure to subscribe and click the little gray bell so you don't miss out.
No, I
Is that going to
appreciate
work, or do you need a retake on that?
Okay.
Third time's a charm.
Third time's a charm.